All right, so we got another quality minute, and what we're going to do is we're going to talk about risk. This is just a topic that comes up over and over and over in our consultation and classroom trainings. So there's a lot of ways to look at this, and there are a lot of good answers as to how to address Clause 6.1, actions to address risks and opportunities. We have to talk about it as risk-based thinking. So how really do we handle this? Well, let's just dive right into the standard and let's talk about it for a few minutes. And one of the key points that we're going to address is, do we log our risks or do we not log our risks? And some of you are looking at me saying, oh my gosh, I have to log every single risk that comes up. There's 1,000 risks a day. Every single sales opportunity is also a risk, because risk and opportunities are, two sides of the same coin. And others of you are saying, well, of course we log every risk. How do we know if we've addressed it or not? So let's dig in. Let me pull that screen up here. All right, so actions to address risk and opportunities. This is a big one. When planning for the quality management system, the organization shall consider the issues referred to in 4.1 and 4.2. So if you saw the very last Quality Minute episode we did, you know that we addressed this already. So if you haven't checked it out, go check it out. All right. But 4.1 and 4.2 is dealing with the context of the organization. So who are we? What are our internal, external issues? And who are our interested parties? So this right away gives us some idea of the risks that we really care about, especially if we're going to log any risks. So what we want to make sure is that the risk and opportunities need to be addressed to give assurance that the quality management system can achieve its intended results. So if through normal business we identify something and we think to ourselves, this might prevent us from achieving our intended results, maybe we're thinking about, enhance desirable effects. Okay. So this sounds kind of like a process improvement, a continual improvement side here. All right. So prevent or reduce undesired effects. Okay. Now, to me, that would mean that we kind of need to know undesired effects and maybe have a plan to act on them. Keyword, act. Achieve improvement, so continual improvement. Okay. So the organization shall plan actions to address these risks and opportunities. Straightforward. We want to make sure that we integrate and implement the actions into the quality management system processes. This is absolutely key and so often overlooked by organizations when thinking about and planning for risks. So definitely something to get them. So we want to evaluate the effectiveness of these actions. And again, this word action is coming up again. So action, very, very key word. We're about to get there. So actions taken to address risks and opportunities shall be proportionate to the potential impact of the conformity of products and services. Well, yeah, of course. But again, some folks, we as quality managers take a lot of pride in our work. And so we want to make sure that we've mitigated as much risk as possible. Problem is, if you take risk mitigation too far, you're going to wind up hamstringing your whole organization. So we have to be aware that some risk is acceptable, and the competence of our employees, the leadership, the engagement of our people, the relationship management, everything dealing with the fundamental quality management principles. If the fundamental quality management principles are there and in place and working well within our organization, we as quality managers can step back and detach ourselves just a little bit from risk and let our good people do good work. All right, so let's go back up here. So the first thing that it says is we need to give assurance that the quality management system can achieve its results, enhance desirable effects, prevent or reduce undesired effects, and achieve improvement. This kind of sounds generally like our quality management system. If we took these bullet points right here, separate and apart from the rest of the standard, you didn't tell someone that this was under, a section to address risk and opportunities, well, then by golly, we think this is our job as quality managers. And it kind of is. So that's what we're going to discuss here. So if we have risks, what's important is we want to identify critical risks. And we want to identify critical risk on a certain interval. So just like you have your management review minimum once a year, you have your internal audit minimum once a year, I very strongly encourage you to step back, take time, evaluate risks that you've identified during the year, maybe things that have not been acted upon. But you're also doing this anyways when you do a review of your non-conformance reports and your review of your corrective action reports. So these are two ongoing systems that we have to have, our non-conformance reports and our corrective action reports. Trend analysis or high impact non-conformance reports are oftentimes an input to your corrective action report. Now, if you're going to do a corrective action, and we can dive into this in another video, but if we're going to do a corrective action, that same word that keeps showing up, action, we're taking action because we want to make a change to the system. So if we're going to make a change to the system, well, we're not going to do it for no reason. We're going to have identified a problem that we want to mitigate. And if we have a problem, that means that there is a high risk of something going wrong. If we do a preventative action, then we have identified, well, let's just look back here at the text. We have identified something that we want to prevent or reduce undesired impacts, or maybe we want to enhance desired impacts. Well, this is just our corrective action process. So risk needs to be integrated into these other processes of our business. Identification of risk should be integrated into your management review, should be integrated into your non-conformance reports, and should be integrated into your corrective action reports. If we integrate risk into all of these pieces and think about risk, then we don't really need that separate risk register. You wind up with duplicate data. We've got a risk register over here, but every single risk, if you keep a large risk register, you have to identify either we took action to do nothing, because do nothing is an action, guys. Leave as is an action. So we either left as is and did nothing, then kind of need to document why you did nothing. We took action to make a change, and where are you going to document that change? You're going to document that change in a corrective action report. So let's not create double duty for ourselves. Let's not create a nice bowl full of candy for the auditor to have fun with. And let's make it simple. Keep it simple, folks. So that's my suggestion, is you need to integrate risk into your non-conformance reports, your corrective action reports, and your management review. If you do these things and you do them well, we don't need a risk register, and you can keep things simple and keep trucking on. So if you have any questions or got any thoughts on this, please let me know. I'll make sure that my contact info is in the show notes below.